We need to change that shit eventually, but yeah.
We're pretty cavalier about just posting it in the chat when there's like a bunch of people who don't even fucking participate in the show no more.
I think somebody's gonna hijack us.
Yeah. No, eventually, yes.
People who don't even fucking participate in the show no more. We're live.
Cool.
All right.
How nice.
Good morning, comrade. You are listening to WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This show is called Good Morning, Comrade. Today on the show, we have Jeff and Scott and Robert. What's going on, y'all?
Go ahead there, Scott.
Nothing much. We were just talking about the Rockford Files and Dave Bautista. So
who's Dave Bautista?
The wrestler, and also the guy who's in one of the biggest movies ever, Avengers Endgame. He called Ted Cruz an ass-sucking Nazi.
What?
Yeah. He's always like on Twitter just saying some shit to like people.
Oh. That's cool, I guess.
No, it's cool.
We made it 35 seconds in there.
No, it is cool. No, I didn't mean to say it like no. That is really cool.
I just didn't know. If you are unsure to make a judgment call, it's cool because he's always just like at these politicians being like, "Hey, stop being a jerk."
Well, the real impressive thing is I think that we made it 35 seconds into the show before Scott cursed, so now I have to go back and edit it. But at least I don't have to wait for very long.
Oh yeah, front loaded it. You know, you don't have to go that far.
Just keep the rest of them in you. All right.
Oh, I didn't know what I said. Sorry.
Anyway, listen to Good Morning Comrade on WHIV FM on Tuesdays. You can check us out online, goodmorningcomrade.com. Good morning, comrade. Scott and Jeff and Robert on the show. What's up, fellas?
Let's see. So today on Twitter, the Good Morning Comrade account got into a fight with just a bunch of dorks who I assume we all have the same politics. It's kind of the stuff we talked about off air when we went fishing about like cancel culture.
The Twitter, what is that? I've never heard of this.
The Twitter, it's a place where there's only sad things come out of.
Twitter.com. My bad.
Yeah, Twitter.com. Yeah, so if you don't, I got I put up a spirited defense, snarky defense of Robert Evans. If you don't know who that is, he's like the leftist war journalist who's he has a podcast called he's had a bunch. Behind the Bastards is one, and how I got started, Aaron actually put me onto him, and how I got started onto him was It Can Happen Here, where he talks about how because he's been in places like Syria, and he used to write for Cracked, and he's like, hey, y'all think that you can't have civil war and societal breakdown here? Let me talk about how easy it is, how like easy society could break down the U.S. And he's been like covering nonstop the Portland protests
and riots, hearing people as well. Other states just like coming in and saying like, actually, we're just going to throw you into a black van.
Well, that's what he's been covering, and he covered he's been covering the moms that are out there now saying, hey, you got to go through us if you're gonna disappear people. Like they're kind of like, remember when we were kids? I don't know if you remember, but they're kind of like the what were they called, like the Silver Panthers or whatever. And it was just like there's another group of like older women who are just like, hey, if you want to send people to war, send us. But they're like that. They're kind of, it's that same energy. But he had a tweet about, hey, isn't it cool, or something like, isn't it cool all these wine moms are out here like normalizing protests? And people are like, can we not use the word wine mom because that's a generational slur? And I'm just like, can y'all shut up? Can y'all like legitly just like walk into the sea? Because this has so much like DSA National Convention. Can we not use the language you guys like energy? This is like very like ridiculously petty energy. And so I spent a good part of my day like fighting off people who were just like, oh, that's totally a slur and it's an ageist slur. I'm just like, this is so dumb. This is why people think the left is dumb. Y'all, like, this man is out here literally getting tear gassed on a nightly basis, and you're gonna try to come for him like this. I'm like, and they're like, well, don't you like, you don't think that women should be? I'm like, there's an order of operations to this. I was like, if we can get rid of all misogyny, police violence, racial violence, then I'm with you. We can totally like go after the phrase wine moms, but there's an order of operations to this. And it was just like somebody was like, well, we can do both at the same time. I'm like, no, we can't. We literally cannot. This thread is showing that we cannot do both at the same time. Please shut up and go away. Please log off.
Well, Robert, I'm glad you spent the day running off potential listeners to our show.
I know, at some point, I don't care.
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's like, I'd like, please do not listen. Like, because you're not going to like the content anyway. Like, yeah, I don't care. Like this, I don't use the Twitter account to advertise the show. I use it really like to amuse myself and to also just like as an, and Jeff, before, I'm sorry, it's on my head. I finally got Jeff Coulier to block us.
Who?
Oh, Jeff Coulier blocked us? I thought he was a tough guy. I thought
bro. You know what finally did it?
Silence our free speech.
Tell him who this is.
Yeah,
Jeff
who is this guy?
is like this weird right-wing radio guy who him and Mimi Owens were the two people that did the
house guy?
The house guy? Oh yeah, the rally to Save America or whatever, but like not Jon Stewart, but like the one that they did most recently. He was the one that put on that. What did you do? Why did he silence your First Amendment right to speak to him on Twitter.com? Yeah. Why did he
keep going? Well, I got some Doritos in my mouth right now, but keep it going.
Did you
keep it going, and I'll put the tweet in the Zoom chat. Keep it going.
Did you derisively call him a wife guy?
No. It was I did the one thing that like actually got to him. I'll just put the tweet in. Keep it going though about this guy. He's a trash bag.
He's absolutely a trash bag, and he's like a I mean, he's not even really a crypto white supremacist because he is like there's like pictures or tweets of like him and David Duke like we're best buds like doing that whole thing. So I mean, this guy is a piece of trash. So I mean, I'm not totally surprised. I mean, first off, when these things happen, when like somebody exposes that they're like a complete hypocrite when they talk about like their First Amendment right and they're like,
keep hypocrite in mind.
See, my freedom, that kind of stuff. They seem to be the people that are the least actually interested in people's actual right to free speech or whatever, and they're also like extremely sensitive about what gets said. That's like the whole idea behind what conservative is. I mean, right?
I dislike the fact that you think someone can't be a friend of David Duke and a grifter. Like,
oh, he's definitely a grifter.
How it came about was, did you see I posted in the chat? So click on the link. It should be in the chat.
Clicking.
He's something about watering the tree of liberty.
Well, the dude posted some kind of column that he wrote in some weird, I don't know, WordPress like right wing like fascist blog about how
or whatever.
Yeah, this will be a law and order election, and Trump will restore law and order. And he proceeded to talk about the secret police in Portland. And so I replied,
those are good.
Yeah, those are the good ones.
He loves the secret cops that are just like scooping people up off the street and throwing them in a van and disappearing them. He loves that.
Yeah, that's why if you saw that, that's why I tweeted out today. Where did all the libertarians go? Mm-hmm. Like, it's so funny when like fascism showed up, all the guys who were really concerned about my civil liberties just disappeared. Like they fell off the map, and he was one of those guys. And now that like they've got their strong man in Donald Trump, and they've got secret police on the street, he's completely like, well, I'm the law and order guy now. Mm-hmm. I was like, well, what happened to the liberty? What happened to the the Ron Paul revolution? What happened to all that, son? That's gone now.
Where are these states' rights? I mean, I guess once Rand Paul gets his ribs broken by his neighbor, like you kind of just back off. It's like,
but that neighbor was he was defending his property.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Rand Paul, but I mean, you deserve to get smashed in the face.
I think he hit him in the ribs.
Either way.
But yeah, that got me. That was a good morning to me, because I think that like, and I don't want to blow my own horn, but like that tweet got to him. Like that was the thing. Like I was constantly harassing him and calling him out.
You cut him deep.
That got to him because he's a smart guy and he knows he's a hypocrite.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows he has no compass. He has no like he has no, I don't want to say moral, but he has no ideological center.
I guess when you just like are just being a grifter in that sense, like the more you think about it, the harder it is to like pull off in your brain. Like, you know?
I don't even see that tweet that he has posted anymore. Like I'm looking at his timeline.
Really? Did he take it down? He never tweets. He like barely ever tweets.
I'm looking. He doesn't have anything from today, so I guess he did.
Mission accomplished. What a sad sack, dude.
You destroyed him in his tweet.
God, I'm gonna catch him in the street one day, man. I swear, I'm gonna be like, "Hey, yo, what up?"
I hate to talk about Twitter on the show that much, but like,
you just exclude me from the conversation.
That's one of the things that I'm like really bad at is getting somebody to get really mad at me to the point where they block me. It never ever happens because I'm just sort of like, I kind of do the thing where I just sort of like, if I engage, which is rare, I don't really do it very often, especially with people that I just like I know are the enemy. But like when I do, like I'm not very good at sort of like cutting them deep. I'm just sort of like, what are you talking about?
Well, I just feel like with him, it's like there's levels to this, you know, like it's like boxing. It's like if we're gonna go for the crown, like we got to be the undisputed champ of like New Orleans first.
Right.
Like we got to go for him first before we can like move up the ladder to like a David Duke, and then move up the ladder to like Ben Shapiro.
I'm the guy that's sitting in the corner giving you the pep talk, but I can't really throw myself anymore. My days are past me. Okay, my best days are behind me. I'm looking forward, but I'm like kind of old busted. I'm like Mickey from Rocky, you know, but not as weird.
I was thinking this guy's such a. It's just. I think one of the like, and I mean I know I'm skipping steps of like what we're gonna talk about, but when like, I'm feeling so cynical lately. Like I feel like we've had this conversation on other shows like in the recent past about how this is the best of times and also the worst of times, but that like guys like him, like guys like Jeff Coulier and like guys even bigger than him on a bigger national stage get to grift and like run their game and like make money off of it. And, you know, that like David Trackey, like David Tracy's still out there, and like Michael Brooks just died. Like what? Like there's no cosmic justice. Like there's no rhyme or reason to any of this.
Yeah.
You know,
so let's talk about Michael Brooks, because that was one that really kind of cut me today. Because like I've been a guy who's been a fan of the Majority Board for like at least since like 2009, right? Like 11 years, and he kind of came in like 2013, 2014 or something like that. And he was really, really a smart guy, a really, really clever guy, and also like a very, very funny guy. In a very sort of a profound way. He was very good at doing like satire and voices and a bunch of like
just hilarious. Like I felt like he was like the bridge between like
he was a glue guy. Really.
He's a glue between like dirtbag like comedy left to like let's say like a Chapo or even that other podcast that shall not be mentioned. He's like a bridge between them and like
other favorite
like, high like actually like high end, I don't know how to like intellectual like thought.
Oh, he was definitely like a very internationalist. Like he had a very internationalist mind, very, very sort of like heavy, a very heavy focus and a very clear analysis on the sort of centrality of class that's critical in this weird wild world we're living in. And I mean, one of the really interesting things, because like sometimes when somebody, you know, dies on Twitter, or somebody dies, on Twitter, you'll see like some people would take an opportunity to take shots at him, and you really didn't see very much of that. I mean, like, what was it? Lula, he was like super connected or super like interested, and he talked about it all the time about the imprisonment of Lula da Silva, who was the former president of Brazil. And he kind of had his dream interview with Lula this year. And Lula actually tweeted out after he died, I'm reading it right now, This year, I met this young American, a journalist who turned out to be a friend, who I thought we would meet again. How is it possible? My heart and prayers go out to his family and friends. May his passion for social justice be remembered and inspire people around the world. And that's just like, that's one of the like it's devastating in a lot of ways, like especially in the sense that like this is somebody that is like Lula is like 70 something years old. He's like a guy who um particularly Michael looked up to, and also like he like Michael and guys like him and guys that are like my age. I think he's younger than me. I'm 35, but like
Super
guys
young,
like him
yeah.
are supposed to be the next generation. And when you have, you know, the guy that you looked up to is supposed to be the one that's passing the torch, and then that guy dies before, you know, the older last generation, it's just devastating, you know. When your elders are the ones that are sort of like burying you, that's just horrible. And you know, shout out to the entire Majority Report family. The entire community is like Michael's direct, you know, friends and family. We had some crossover with that show and us. So yeah, it's just a really difficult situation. But I mean, one of the things that I'm gonna remember about Michael is this sort of like he always had a very warm, even when he was doing things that are saying things that were sort of like, I'm like, I don't know about this, you know, he always did it with a certain like warmth and a certain like kind of cheekiness, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yep.
Very clever, very funny guy, very smart
Yeah,
guy.
I mean, he's a guy, like you said, he could be cheeky, he could be funny, he could do a really good Bernie impression and then turn around and go on like I-24 and talk about why Palestine shouldn't be an open air prison. Like,
yeah,
the guy was just a dynamo. Like, the guy, like, you could put him in you could sit him down with anybody. You could sit him down with like, you know, a Midwestern mom to on any debate stage at any university in the world, and this guy could hold his own, and he could explain concepts in like in the way that anybody could understand it, but then in a way that like if you wanted to have like a procedural like nuts and bolts argument with him, he could totally just bang it out. Like, the guy was just genius. And this is just so crazy. Like, when you text me that, like, I didn't even believe it's real. Like, I still don't. Like, I was just watching the show, bro. Like, I don't
watching him on Saturday when he was you know, on his show with like Anna Kasparian or whatever. And oh my god. Now we're talking about the internet again, but like there was a clip that I saw from the Young Turks, which I don't even really watch that much. But I know him and Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks were really close, and like she was like visibly just broken up, like reading us like the Majority Report, or I think it was the Majority Report, or it might have been his family. Whoever it was, they put out a statement, sort of like just explaining what happened. There's no details or anything like that. But she was reading it and she had to stop, and she just sort of like, you know what, just read it online. It was one of these like, and I feel like I'm dwelling on this maybe too much, so let's move on. But it was really like you could tell the connection between, you know, the connection that he had with you know, people that I call friends. I mean, I didn't know the guy personally. I talked with him like once or twice ever. But like they are shaken. Like they're like, this is, it's not fair. It's not good. You know, it's awful. It's a complete tragedy.
Oh yeah, I feel like hot garbage. Like, it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's just like his youth, and so this makes me think of my own mortality. But we were just like, and that's why it's hitting me so hard. But we just really, I don't know, people who care about things. I won't even try to be political, but like, it's a politics show. But like, people who have like thoughtful consideration about anything, like we've lost like a dynamo in that realm.
Yeah, I do want to play one clip because, and I shared this with y'all earlier, but I just thought it was too funny to let go, because this is sort of like, and I hate to be like remember the good times guy or whatever, but like I do, like this is sort of like what things are like for me when
Play it, my
I
dude.
do this, but like when somebody passes or whatever, you do want to remember good stuff. Otherwise, you're just gonna feel horrible about everything. Oh, this is a clip that he did from probably 2017 or 16 or 2017 after the election where Sanders had lost. But he does this is just great.
Welcome to How to Build Generational Wealth with Bernie Sanders. While the rest of the young go-getters were coming out and going into Wall Street where they could work for the bankers, the millionaires and billionaires.
Oh, sorry. Let me fix that.
Welcome to How to Build Generational Wealth with Bernie Sanders. While the rest of the young go-getters were coming out and going into Wall Street where they could work for the bankers, the millionaires and billionaires, I had a different, more long-term plan. I moved to rural Vermont and bummed around until I was in my 30s and ran third-party candidacies on issues. This is the first step in my patented system of guaranteed intergenerational wealth. The next step, become the mayor of a small New England city where you promote public parks and meet with the Sandinistas. This will be the next step in your plan. You're still making probably about $50,000 a year. You're almost 40 years old, but you just wait because the bucks are coming. Then you run an improbable third-party campaign for Congress. Now you might be thinking to yourself, this isn't so bad. I make over $100,000 a year. I'm solidly in the middle class. But I know that you didn't move to Vermont and become a socialist to make chump bullshit change like 150 grand a year working for Congress. No, you want millions, my friend, and so did I. Which takes us to our next step. Declare your candidacy for president in 2016 to little and no fanfare. Have a hunched over posture, rant about single payer and against Hillary Clinton, piss absolutely everybody off, then write a best-selling book. Boom, you're a millionaire. And that is my patented system for intergenerational wealth so that you too will become at the very least a millionaire. You might not have to wait until you're in your 70s, but that might just be the way it shakes out. And that was the purpose of my entire political career, planned down to the date of when I would run for president. Thank you.
Yeah,
Jeff, can you do me a favor? Like, it's only a minute. I put it in the chat. Can you play the because I put it on our Twitter because that's the first thing I thought of too. I'm so glad we have the same sense of humor, same thoughts. It's him doing Bernie Sanders through the eyes of your uncle at Thanksgiving. God, it's so good. It's like what every right winger thinks like Bernie is like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Play that. Yeah, put that up, man. Like, yeah, just tell me when you're ready, and I'll stop talking about it. Like I said, this is a guy who could do a dead-on impression. He could talk about like Caribbean music. He could talk about travel, and he
could talk about South Africa and Mandela and like anti-apartheid movement, and then switch to doing a 5-minute bit on
about right-wing Mandela. Like, what if Mandela was right-wing?
Like Bernie Sanders, how he got $1 million or whatever, how he became a millionaire. The guy was just, I don't know, he was all over the place.
It's just classic, dude.
There was a certain like manicness there, but I think it was just a wealth of energy in it. Anyway,
Sanders
here we go.
told support, says, I think we have some explaining and work to do, acknowledging that the term democratic socialism makes some people very, very nervous. It's good news. I'm looking forward to that speech. Not quite clear when he's going to deliver it.
This is from 2015, by the way, just so the audience is up on it.
But we do maybe have a little bit of an insight into what he's going to say here.
Fundamentally, power is never ceded. That is a bourgeoisie lie that has been told through Christ to Gandhi. It's a distortion of the revolutionary nature of history. And as Mao himself once said, change comes from a barrel of a gun. Time to march forward It is time to forget one's individual identity and merge into a collective of revolutionary fervor and strength. Now, look, we're not Cambodia, but there's a lot we can learn from the Khmer Rouge. We're not China, but there's a lot we can learn from Mao. We're not North Korea, but there is a lot we can learn from how that family's put that country together.
So good.
What's so funny about that though too is that one of the things that sort of like got Bernie like, and I don't mean to make this like about Bernie, but but this sort of shows how spot on he was in 2015. Like one of the things that like got Bernie like beat up a little bit like right around in 2020 rather was like some things that he said about Castro, and like it was just this incredible like weird like obsession like when he said that like, oh, actually the schools in the medical system in Cuba are good, and he didn't say anything actually directly good about Castro, but like next thing you know, every question that he gets in every debate is like, why do you support Castro so much? So like that was basically how spot on this joke was, like literally 5 years ahead of time.
The guy was a workhorse. The guy was just a workhorse that like shone a light for a lot of us to do what we do. And I'm really broken up that he's gone.
Yeah. This might sound insensitive, but this gives like now is a good time to sort of like go back and watch all the good clips and all the good funny stuff and all the good smart stuff. And like he did countless great interviews with Cornel West. Oh, he did one with Cornel West, countless with Adolph Reed, countless with just like these titanic figures in the American and international left. And I mean, look, if maybe I do this to protect myself.
And now, real bad.
Okay,
you're back.
And it's one of those situations where I want to sort of like, and maybe I do this to keep myself from like breaking down and crying. Maybe it's my own personal defense mechanism, but like, go back and watch some of that good stuff, because I mean there was a lot of really great things and a lot of great memories, and like getting all sad about the fact that he's never going to be able to do a new one is terrifying. So maybe just like wrapping myself in nostalgia is one of those things that maybe it's a defense.
Nah, I'm good with that. It's just like you said, like it's for a guy who was like, if you were in this circle, you knew who he was, and like how everybody from people that we necessarily don't align with to people like we really align with are all just like, man, that was a real one.
Yeah,
like, there's not a lot of people who fit that kind, who can do that, who fit that kind of bill.
For real. Anyway.
Sad.
It's gonna be really tough to pick up off the mat after that one, but definitely huge. I was texting a lot of folks. I was texting friend of the show, friends of the show. I don't want to name them, but
sure.
Friends of the show.
I think I know who you're talking about. At least some of them.
Just about what's going on. Former guests, really just absolute, just complete. Loss for all of us. It is extremely sad. You are listening to.
What else we got on the board? Go ahead. Sorry.
To WHIV LP New Orleans 102.3. This show is Good Morning Comrade. You can listen to us every Tuesday on WHIV FM. You can also get more information and listen to extra shows on goodmorningcomrade.com. So I guess moving on from that, I suppose, to something that's like super relevant to me, like very directly right now, is especially in Louisiana and in Jefferson Parish, which is where I live and where I teach. The parish just today released the plan to go back to school, and I got to tell you, folks, it is a very scary prospect for me as a teacher. Like, it is a really terrifying thing, the fact that they're going to sort of like just shove a bunch of kids back into a school in the middle of a pandemic while it's got higher infection rates and higher numbers of deaths than there were when they had initially closed schools in March. It's absolutely horrifying prospect. I don't know how much attention y'all are paying to this, but what are y'all seeing, Scott, Robert?
Yeah, I know people are pretty much against it, except for, the dummies who are like, oh, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want our funding to dry up or whatever stupid reason. I don't even know the reasons they want to. Are there reasons they want to, or are there supposed reasons?
So
that's a good question, actually.
So
like, what is the drive?
Like one of the ways that education functions, and people don't like to talk about it, and it's one of the sort of like less legitimate functions, at least as far as I'm concerned, because of so we live in a society where you have to go to work in order to survive, right? And if you have kids, then you need a place to send your kids, because we are the jobs that we have in this society are not friendly to the point that you can bring kids to those jobs, for most jobs at least. So the sort of like sticky wicket here as far as reopening the economy, which is the obsession that we're hearing, is that in order for people to be forced back to their jobs that are A, not necessary for the actual world to function, and B, that most people hate, in order for that to keep rolling on, we're gonna have to start getting this childcare back, right? And so things that don't things like the online learning, which isn't even accessible to all kids, is not sufficient if you have to go back to work, because who's going to watch your kids while they're doing that? So essentially, there's a huge economic incentive to force people back to work, and part of the order of operations in doing that is to force kids back to school, regardless of whether or not it's safe.
It's just so, yeah. I mean, that seems like that's like the Occam's razor. I think that's the easiest explanation. It's probably the most correct. But how are you? I mean, yes, how we feel about it. Like, I feel like you shouldn't go back to work, Jeff. And I know that's not like a thing. Like, you're in a position to just like, oh, I'm just not going back in. Like, what are you gonna do, bro? Like, because I mean, I feel like from everything you've told me and everything I read, like the parents are like, we're not gonna send our kids. Teachers are like, we don't want to go back, but they're like forcing y'all into like a super dangerous situation. So like, what are you gonna do, bro? Like, I don't even mean this as like we're talking on the show. Like, I completely support y'all in any way, like any possible way, like monetarily. Like, if I have to get out and like if I have to like shift from going to these protests to like going outside this, like supporting a teacher strike, I think honestly that's more important right now. Like, so that's my own personal decision.
Well, one thing that you can do that you have already done is show that support and that solidarity, which you just expressed. Now, the next sort of step would just sort of be sharing that with other folks and sort of organizing people to the idea that this is unacceptable, not just because the people that are going to have to, I mean, this is very important to me to be 100% sure. Going back to school it is a very scary prospect for me and for my wife and for my family in the most immediate sense. One, right? It is scary to me because the kids that will be coming into my class will likely be, likely. I'm fine with that language. There is a very strong possibility that they will be sharing this coronavirus with one another. There are more rules that have been implemented that educators are going to have to follow, including implementing social distancing, making sure kids are wearing masks, all of those things. We're going to have to essentially enforce that somehow without reinforcing the already very pervasive school to prison pipeline that currently exists. And then that's even beside the fact of the mere statistics of kids going back to school will just reinvigorate and give like a shot in the arm to this coronavirus, because of the fact that so many people will be meeting in the same place at the same time. So there's just like so many horrors to look at all at once. And there's got to be action that takes place on the part of educators. And one of the things that I would like to inform folks about is that we need to start calling, emailing, texting our state. And this is going to sound like I'm not the resist bot here, but I mean, like, you need to start emailing your school boards. You need to start emailing your superintendent, start emailing your legislature, the governor, all that stuff. And also on this Saturday, if people want to come join us out, there is going to be a protest outside of the governor's mansion to get him to implement phase 1 back onto the on the state, because of the most districts plans that are put out when it comes to stage 1. Most of them mean that learning and education will be 100% online and virtual. That includes Jefferson Parish, which is where I work. So that would be an opportunity. I mean, there are multiple hazards in that, from the sense of you kind of live at work when you're working from home like that. And also, as a result of our, horribly unequal and unjust society, there is, not equal access to education or internet for all kids. So there will not be equal learning, which is, I'm fine with that. I'm not fine with it, but I'm fine with it if the alternative is, that people who don't have that access will have to go to school and risk infection of, their kids, the workers in the schools, and the families of both. So I'm really like super, super hard against it. If you're interested in more information on this, you can message me online at Eminent Prof. You can also drop a line to our inbox. We can send more information about that. But there are petitions out there that you can sign and other things like that. So
it's just wild, dude. I don't know. I don't have any kids, so I can't imagine like what that feels like to be under that kind of pressure of like, I've got to go to work. Who's going to watch my kid? But at some point you have to kind of snap out of it and be like, I've had this conversation with my parents. It's like, you can be like, I'm not going to sacrifice my child. I mean, I'm not going to put my child in a dangerous position no matter what it costs. Like they're just worse things. And like, I hate to, this sounds so terrible, but it's like, there's worse things than like being broke. There's worse things than like being evicted. There's worse things like sending your child as like a legitimate human sacrifice. Like this is, this is hyperbolic, but it feels biblical. It feels like we're sacrificing our children to ball to get approval. So like the crops can grow next year. Like this is crazy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there is almost a thing where the continued like trying to reopen things is making things constantly worse. Like,
yeah,
it's like you have an athlete and they get injured and they keep going back too early and they just like keep reopening aggravating their thing, and then it leads to another injury, and then pretty much like the career is over or something like that,
Yeah, 100%. But the problem is that like it's one or a small group of people making the decision, allegedly in the name of the majority of people, and that's what's putting us all at risk. So I mean, like, we all know that people who work in our government, while on paper they represent they represent the constituency that elects them, but we also know at the same time that
They have vested interests in other things.
well, they have. I mean, they have fealty. They're responsive. Much. I mean, this is indisputable. But essentially, legislators are responsive to more to the people who either fund or make their campaigns possible than the greater constituency of whatever place that they live in, no matter where it is. And that's sort of like that is a one component. And then the other component is this sort of like, perfect alignment of all of these structures in the society that essentially put every single thing on individuals. And there is zero room for any individual to, not go to work for. I mean, most people can't survive what was like a $400 unexpected expense.
Right.
So this coronavirus, this COVID situation, has done that to everybody all at once. So we have people that are in a more desperate situation purely because of the structure of our society. If we had a more egalitarian society that had zero Jeff Bezoses and Bill Gates and distributed that money amongst everybody, then we wouldn't have this problem. So the problem is that we have this so unequal structure, which puts us in this position. So I mean, it doesn't feel. I mean, it. I can talk about being right about this all along, and that doesn't change a goddamn thing. But right now, all of these things are being sort of like laid as bare as possible, and we need to, like, essentially there is opportunity to change it in this position, but only if we have the courage and the energy and the organization to do so. So, I mean, we need to get we need to kickstart our unions. We need to kickstart our organizing groups, our like our DSAs or our whatever, you name it, organization, to start, meeting on these grounds. We need our unions to be fired up, and we need our unions to be fighting for people, which many of them are. But we just need to keep it so that it's charged by the members of those unions and the workers that are on the ground. If there aren't, and where there aren't unions, we need to exercise power in whatever ways that we can amongst workers.
It's just, I don't know if I've said this on the show before, but I think I've said this just hanging out. Like, this legitimately feels like a siege. It feels like it feels like the federal government's just trying to break people everywhere to make them open back up, and so we can all just get sick and like whatever happens. Like, they're just trying to make conditions so bad that we're like, okay, we got to just, some of the kids are going to die and we're just going to have to just accept that, which is insane. But we accept kids dying all the time for mass shootings. So, I mean, it's a good gamble, like, to just be like, you know what, they'll throw their kids into a meat grinder.
Yeah, well, the biggest problem and the thing that they rely on, and this is sort of like the extra super pernicious part of the sort of the way that our society is currently structured, is that everybody, like there was a certain nostalgic vision of when things were normal that exists in people's head, and there are certain sort of components that people associate with that normal. And one of those ones is the fact that people are going to work and to school every day, because it's such a deeply rooted part of everyone's lives. It gets deep into the fabric of the way we function. And it's funny because it's like the opposite of sort of like the Marxian approach, right?
I mean, nostalgia works because it's a Norman Rockwell painting. You look at it for a second and you get the feeling, and you just think about all the good things. But like, it's just a Don Draper commercial. Like, that's all it is. Like, it's just like this, like, hitting on this nostalgia thing to make you feel something good, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, that time was good. It was good then. Like nothing was wrong. I don't remember my problems. Like I was happy then, and I have a picture of it. You know, it's just like you don't have the whole picture. You just have like a snapshot. Like that's all nostalgia is. It's like touching a part of your brain and like leaning on it really hard and being like, oh man, if only everything was like it was back then. Like nothing, like a moment so perfect couldn't possibly have happened at a bad time. So everything must have been fine then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like sort of like this is an alternative of the sort of, so this is from the German ideology. I'm gonna be the guy that quotes Marx right now. Sorry. But it was a really great quote of for as soon as the distribution of labor comes into being, each man has a particular exclusive sphere of activity which is forced upon him and from which he cannot escape. That's your job, folks. He is a hunter, a fisherman, a herdsman, or a critical critic, and must remain so if he does not want to lose his means of livelihood. While in communist society, where nobody has one exclusive sphere of activity, but each can become accomplished in any branch he wishes, society regulates the general production and thus makes it possible for me to do one thing today and another tomorrow, to hunt in the morning, fish in the afternoon, rear cattle in the evening, criticize after dinner, just as I have a mind, without ever becoming a hunter, fisherman, herdsman, or critic. So essentially, like, what that means is that we sort of like wrap our identity up in our jobs, and in a better society, we can have the material ability to do what we want to do without becoming the thing that our job sort of like forces us to become. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes me think of have you ever seen the 30 for 30 about Bo Jackson?
No, but you have my interest.
It's very much like in college, he was fixing to get drafted to I think it was the Buccaneers, and they doesn't matter.
That's true.
Just
I know that.
Just some football team, and they were like, well, he was a multi-sport athlete, and like around the time that he was becoming like a potential burgeoning pro athlete, they were like, well, you should specialize in one sport these days. You shouldn't play football, then baseball. You should just do one sport.
Do that.
So basically, what happened was a team invited him onto like a private plane to like show up, and they would just like have a meeting, but like on purpose, what they did was made him violate NCAA rules, so that he couldn't go. So he couldn't go back to play college baseball, which is what he wanted to do. So when he got drafted, what he did was he just refused to show up because he was just like, I will be in the Major League Baseball instead. Mm-hmm. And which like that kind of like what like his like refusal to just have to like play one sport is kind of what made him such a like an iconoclast, you know? Like I don't think Bo Jackson had any ideology like past being like I just want to play basketball and baseball and football, but like just kind of the act is kind of like very rebellious in that sense, you know?
Yeah, the sort of like that's great for Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
but imagine a world where that was possible for all people.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
that came like a big boon to his career. Like he became like his signature shoe was the cross class, because like the shoe you can do for everything. You could play basketball, you could play baseball, you could play football in it. You know, that was like his whole thing.
Right. Yeah, that is good in the sense of it being about like him as an individual, which is a certain degree of freedom that Bo Jackson had because of his very, I mean, Bo Jackson's one of the greatest athletes that existed of all time. Yeah. You know, if we can make it so that if we can structure our society so that every single person has that ability to sort of that degree of freedom.
Every man could be a Bo Jackson.
Or
every man a king. Yeah. Every man a Bo.
I mean, if you want to get in a Huey Long talk, we can definitely do that.
Hilarious.
We can have Bruce back on the show and we can talk more about Huey Long.
I'd like to be on that show. Like I tried to be on it last time, but my mic didn't work.
We'll fix it for you. We'll get Bruce back on the show. Bruce McGee. He's a host of the Louisiana Anthology podcast and former guest on this program. He is a Huey Longophile, I guess you would call him.
Good guy.
No, yeah, he's great. Anyway, we're getting a little bit of field, but I understand what you're saying. The structure of our society is very, very despite the fact that, you know, people like Jeff Crouer will say, well, this is the freest, greatest country in the world, right? I mean, like, to be real, most people are paycheck to paycheck. Most people are surviving by the skin of their teeth. Most people are like, oh no, like, what if I can't make this mortgage? And you know, that's not an accident. That's not some like whoopsie doopsie. I guess we just need to do better. Part of our like
it's to force people into situations that now you're the parents of your students are now in.
Right, it's an economic leverage mechanism, is what it is. It's the whole point.
As like a person who does bump around from job to job, like I've been several different careers, but like
you're probably happy doing that.
Not really, because it's so difficult to trade, like to change course like that. It's almost like redirecting a river, and then some people won't even look at you if you're a certain age and like don't have a certain amount of experience. You know?
Yeah, yeah, it's true. And I guess so. You have like the freedom in a certain sense, and we got to start wrapping up in a minute, but we can definitely start doing a Thursday and continue this conversation. You kind of like when you have to become invested into a certain particular like specialized line of work, and that's sort of like where the whole like liberal specialization super focuses and you know lasers in, because there is a component of like credentialism that like, oh, I've got a BS, I've got X number of years of a, you know, I've got a resume, I've got a CV, and that's what makes me eligible to do this job, because it's economically structured. You can't just do something because, you know, it's something that you want to do, and you don't like people don't have the ability based off of their just based off the way the society, if you don't have wealth to do anything, then you can't do it in any meaningful way that's sustainable. And that's just
now, even today, like you can't even get into like the field you want or train for, like if you go to college, like
you need to do an unpaid internship or something like that a lot of the times, or or you don't get a job after college. You don't get a job. I mean, one of the reasons I went into education, amongst many,
a lot of people will go to like
the jobs. There is a certain amount of job security, and one of the focuses of the industry, and it's an industry now, folks, is to attack that job security. Go ahead, Scott.
And that's how people get caught in like jobs that they hate and are low paid, because like they'll be like, well, I just need to hold this job down for a while, but then there's no break. There's like,
got to keep my health insurance.
Did you see that stupid thing that like Visa put up where it was like here's how much money if you work 2 jobs, and it was this crazy amount of money, and they like had like a fake budget. Well, I remember
that.
I did the math, and like that was only like suitable if you worked that amount of hours to get that amount of money, and you don't pay taxes, and you work 40 hours a week for six weeks a month.
Man,
like, it's just ridiculous.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I can't work 6 weeks a month.
Mm-mm.
It's asking too much. I'm sorry, economy.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Anyway, well, you can listen to Good Comrade every Tuesday and Thursdays. You can get more information on goodmorningcomrade.com every Tuesday on WHIV FM. You are listening to WHIV FM. And thanks, everybody, for listening. I love you all. Bye.
Take care. Be good.
All right. Thursday, you want to do a Thursday, or
I gotta get to.
Yeah, let's do it tomorrow.
Y'all can rock it, but
tomorrow I have got
a lot of shit,
buddy. I have got calls every night this week.
Yeah, man, don't worry about it. What do you want to do then? Just do an episode?
We can. Well, let me clip out your filthy mouth, and then edit in some stuff. So
I'll just hang out on here.
Yeah, hang out on here. Look, you just play around on the stream. I'm gonna turn my video off and fix all this real quick. All right.
I want to play the damn. I'm too depressed, but I want to play the damn South Park game because they like selling out on Steam for like $4 now. I bought it. It's pretty good actually. I started to play like 5 minutes of it, and they're like, "Oh, Michael Brooks is dead." And I'm like, "Oh, great."
I don't know the game. What game?
It's the sequel to the Stick of Truth or whatever. It's the Fractured But Whole,
Hmm.
and it's a turn-based RPG that's based in the South. It's in the South Park universe. It's really well done. Like they took, like if you like turn-based RPGs and you like South Park, it's like playing an episode of the show, and you're playing Final Fantasy 6.
Final Fantasy 6, huh?
Yeah, I'd say not even 7 because there's no active battle. There's no battle timer.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna take off. You guys be good.
All right, later, bud.
Not like Final Fantasy 10, eh?
I like 10, but
Yeah.
10 has an active battle timer. That's why it's not like 10. I like 10. I like 10 too. 10 2 was good.
Yeah, 10
No,
2.
10-2 is the one with the active battle.
Yeah. 10,
Oh no, 10 2 is the one with the job wheel.
10 is turn-based.
Yes. 10 2
Yeah.
is one that you have the dress spheres, which is
Yeah.
so it's like it's very genius, but it's also kind of creepy.
No, it's the job wheel from Tactics, man. It's the same thing.
All
All
right.
you're doing, the dresses give you new jobs. It just changes your class on the fly.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was
Give me a
good.
drink.
I liked it. All right, see you later.
All right, later, man. It was a great game. It's a great game.
Hey, Jeff.
And Scott. Editing. And Robert.
I was just saying
Sweet
Scott.
stash.
that.
Answer the last 5 questions. The very last questions ask that you name the date, the month, year, day, the place, and the city that you are in. And that is what the President of the United States is bragging about being able to do. All right, since you can't help, I'll just talk about my season. Not doing great. I just barely missed the playoffs last season, and now I'm having trouble coming out the gate. Not great.
What's your record
Oh, dude, I'm like 0-3.
in the playoffs?
Oh no, I didn't even make it to the playoffs.
No. What
See,
good are you?
yeah, none. Didn't make it to the playoffs. It was my rookie season. I'm thinking I might just get a trade. Fuck it. Like, I was kind of like, oh, I like this team or whatever, but nah, fuck that shit. I'm just playing a video game. I'm not gonna get like, what's it called, Stockholm syndrome for my fucking fake NBA team.
I mean, I do like the idea of going all Baron Davis. So I mean, like you could do that.
Yeah, good. Problem is, do these fucking teams want me? Also, last season they were like, oh hey, you can't trade unless you're a starter, and now this season they're like, oh yeah, you can't trade until 10 games in. I'm like, just making up all these rules.
I think that's a rule. I think that's a real thing now.
Yeah, rules are made up.
Well, every rule is, but I mean, like, does that mean that they're made up for no reason?
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think so. I'm sort of like rules are put in place for a reason, and the reason that it usually is to serve the person that's making that rule. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'm watching the Last Dance again, so because they put it on Netflix, I don't have to go in the terrible, absolutely abysmal ESPN app.
The
The Jordan thing. Yeah, check it out. I think you'd like it.
Yeah, I definitely should watch it.
Like, it's a little nice to Jordan, a little bit too sweet to Jordan, but you know, it's fine. It's just like, yeah, he was a piece of shit because like Scottie Pippen was holding that one season. He was like, fuck, now I gotta do shit on myself. And Dennis Rodman was like fucking around.
And Pippen is like super underrated. I mean, like,
oh, that was the problem. Like, they only had Scottie Pippen because they were paying him fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, hey, Pippen, your day's gonna come. And then like the guy who like the GM who's like very much cast as a villain in this is like, oh yeah, we're just trying to trade this motherfucker. Like, maybe see if we get some good shit. Because like the Last Dance, the last season is all about kind of like the big kind of looming thing overhead is that the GM Jerry Krause, he's like, oh well, they're not gonna get a sixth title. We're just gonna break the team apart. Like, this is the last season.
Mm-hmm. I must my own basketball team.
Yeah, they were like treating Phil Jackson real bad because they're like Jerry Krause would just like bring he would just bring the guy he was gonna replace Phil Jackson with around a bunch, and he's like, Phil Jackson's like, I definitely won you like 5 titles at this point. Like,
I love it. I don't know.
I mean, I was very much like in like conspiracy squad with Brad for a while, being like, oh yeah, Jordan's this motherfucker, but you know, he's just really good. Of course, fuck that guy. Like, I like a lot of the other players from that time, and he's the reason that they couldn't get any championships.
I had a great conversation with Brad the other day, actually.
Oh yeah, what y'all talk about?
Man, he's like so fucking with us.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I'm not surprised by all that. Like, it's funny because like, he's got this sort of like self identity as like kind of a conservative guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I just kind of don't see it at all. I mean, like, he's just like kind of not super ideological or whatever, but like he's like,
very practical person.
I mean, honestly, I think he's a very thoughtful person. I always have done. But it's just sort of like funny how people sort of self-identify, even whether or not that's like in alignment with the reality of the world. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I used to think I was a conservative, but come on.
I mean, we grew up in St. Bernard Parish, man. That just happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I did used to listen to a lot of like right-wing radio, but it was mostly for the lulz. But if I said it was entirely for the lulz, I would not be telling the truth. That makes sense?
Yeah, it's fine.
but it was definitely a lot. A lot of it was to the walls for sure.
I mean, Coast to Coast AM. Coast to Coast AM was talking about some shit.
A great show. That is a great show. That's don't talk shit about that. That is a fantastic television. I mean, program. Actually, you know who? Brad is the person that fucking got me on Coast to Coast AM for the first time. I didn't even know it existed.
Oh yeah, Brad is a little bit of a like conspiracy nut.
That's, I mean, like conspiracy are real, man.
Yeah,
Tell me that they're not.
they're not.
You're lying. You're lying. You're not telling me the truth at all. I don't do you.
You told me to. You dared me.
Don't you try and pull the wool over my eyes, you son of a bitch.
You just told me to lie, and I did. You can't get mad at me for just doing what you said.
Yes, I can.
Oh, then I won't ever do it again.
What the fuck? I'm trying to find where I sent this audio and I can't find it. The file path.
The shit we just said?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, you need to find that.
Documents. There it is. The problem is I have two GMC folders because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, GMC1 and GMCA.
No, they're both GMC and they're both in the they're both in different folders, so you don't have to have like GMC and GMC1.
No, you have GMC1 and GMCA. Didn't you see that episode of Futurama?
No.
When they didn't want to be Universe 2 and Universe 1?
No.
Universe 1 and Universe A. Very funny show.
That was a pretty clever show, I gotta admit. When you're right, you're right. And you?
I mean, I think that show is like literally why I like enjoy sci-fi so much.
Well, that show was in a lot of ways a love letter to sci-fi stuff. Wow, they just are launching a whole brand new thing on fucking Podbean like today. And I hate it.
Of course you do. It's new.
I mean, I don't always hate new stuff.
Yeah, but you know.
But I hate this.
All right. It's time. It's time Duffman Oyak showed up tonight.
So dude, we gotta start plugging your computer up to the stream. We can just stream with the game going. Can you do that? You have a PS4, right?
Yeah. I don't know how to do all that.
Well, I'm gonna have to figure it out.
All right, this might be the game. I have playing the Hawks at home, so here's hoping. Oh, also I became such like a notable player that they let me pick the jerseys every game.
Nice.
And there were literally like 20 jerseys. Great. They have one that just says Sacktown. Fucking love it. They have all these like ones that are from the 90s that are just like the same ones as now, except one is like half black and half purple. Like some absolute just disgusting like choices.
It's fucked up. I hate it. I hate it. All right, we're live.
What?
No, I just posted the show from
Neat.
All right, cool. We're good now. After not getting your potty mouth out of there.
All right, man.
Disgusting. Yeah, I don't know if I have another hour in me, so I think I might just shut her down. I've been like living on fucking Zoom.com. Like seriously, we've been organizing some stuff, and like again, to anybody listening right now, I don't think we have anybody watching us other than me.
Whoa.
But
Big viewer.
Saturday, there will be a protest and car caravan in front of the governor's mansion in Baton Rouge. And I will be there. Hopefully Scott will be there. If he can't be there, it's okay. He'll be there in spirit. Many educators, many parents, many potentially even kids are going to be there to make sure that the governor here is loud and clear that we don't need to be returning to our schools. It's too dangerous. We don't want to have piles of dead kids and dead educators and dead parents and dead family members just from this coronavirus in the middle of this goddamn pandemic. So if you can make it out, we would love to have you.
I don't know if they'd pile them up like that. It'd be like if you want someone to think you like ate all your food or like raked the lawn, you just spread it all out.
Rake the lawn?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Rake the lawn, rake leaves.
Oh, okay. I've never heard of it described as raking the lawn. You like this, by the way?
Yeah, cool. It's already a red fridge.
But we got a sticker now that says Good Morning Comrade on it.
Yeah, we do.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bud.
Bye.